I would now call upon Jen Fisher-Bradley to make her presentation.
Thank you for everybody for coming out tonight and for participating in our political process. Good to see you here. Voting is a Canadian right that came at a cost. Voting empowers the voter's voice and validates the voter. Voting validates the process and the outcome of the process. It makes the process accountable. The more voters that vote in an election, the stronger the mandate to represent us we have given to the winners. In the last term, Ken McCrae had 19% support of the eligible voters and a 29% turnout. The implications of what this kind of low voter turnout means are not good. My platform is on my blog at Visioning Port Alberni, and I inspire you to take a look at it, but I'll give you some highlights. It's called Green, Inclusive, and Adapting to Change. Focus on developing small to medium-sized sustainable businesses like eco-adventure tourism, ecotourism, eco-agritourism, and related services. Engage with social entrepreneurs and promote social entrepreneurship to drive us toward food security and community resiliency. I will look into the option of developing local lending circles to support entrepreneurs with microloans who are underserved by current lending options. Lobby provincial government to create an experimental housing distinction, as they have in New Mexico, with the BC Building Code, so that we can experiment with alternative, sustainable, off-grid housing. Then we can discover what are best practices for adaptation to climate change and peak oil pressures. Move the community towards equity and sustainability by recommending a sprinkler bylaw, an urban farming bylaw, and a whistleblower bylaw. Make our city more people-friendly by exploring an alternate route bylaw for all heavy industrial traffic as another option besides tolls. Advertise with signage the free all-day parking sites that exist within the city. This signage, combined with effective parking bylaw enforcement, will assist our businesses and our visitors to have a better experience in the community. Get tough on crime, and I have some good ideas about that. Like, for example, supporting the Weaver Park playground build. Because the way to get tough on crime is to get people out into the streets, out of their cars, into the parks, and onto the streets. And we need to take back the uptown at night. I hope you join me on that. Support the Rotary Arts District, a West Island regional vision, and a Vancouver Island bioregional vision. You can see more of this on my blog. Once elected, pass a motion of concern on the proposal to bring coal through the city and the Port of Port Alberni. This motion of concern will not pass unless we have the majority of no votes on council. We need the mayor plus 3 councillors to vote for a motion of concern over the coal industry's proposal. And it's regarding the Alberni Basin airshed, the people's right to implement the precautionary principle, wear on city roads, and the threat to the Baines Sound fishery at the mine site from acid runoff. All of our fisheries around Vancouver Island are far too significant a food source for the Vancouver Island diet to be risked like in a poker game on some dirty coal that is killing us. I'd like to read to you my vision of the Alberni Valley. Swantula Green's Mountain Farm Retreat is situated just 3.5 hours north of Vancouver, BC, located in the beautiful Fraser Canyon. This rustic 70-acre organic farm has year-round access for harried city dwellers needing to get away from it all. Choose your perfect vacation. Farm chores, meditative mountain walks, hiking, stargazing, trail riding, river rafting, or spiritual retreat. So those are the kinds of things we can envision for our valley. It's a different kind of tourism, and we need to do this. We need to revitalize our uptown, and we need to strengthen the rural and the urban connection. But we need to do it soon, because there's no guarantee the Catalyst is going to survive in this economy. Thank you.
I'd like to now call upon Councillor John Douglas to make his presentation.
Good evening all. My name is John Douglas. I've met quite a few of you. For those of you whom I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I'm a paramedic in our community. And for the preceding 3 years, I've had the honor and I've had the privilege of serving you, of serving Port Alberni as a city councillor. I remember when I first got elected, I was coming down to the ceremonies and I turned to my wife Donna and I said, "Donna, what have I gotten myself into?" And she looked at me and she said one word, "Exactly."
Can you please raise the mic?
And anyway, but despite the trepidation of getting involved, it's been a wonderful experience. It's involved an enormous learning curve. I've been helped around that curve during what I call my apprenticeship by a very patient and a very knowledgeable incumbent mayor, Mayor McCrae, as well as a very experienced city council, many of whom I see here now, and a very helpful city staff, many of whom I see here now. Through this process, I've gained the respect of our mayor, of our council, and of our staff, and a great deal of people in our community. I've also been able to forge very strong connections with our regional district, as well as important links to our provincial and to our federal counterparts. I'm now ready for the next step, with your support, to be mayor of our community, to help form a new team on our city council, to form a new proactive team, which will aggressively pursue our goals for a new future. One of the first things I learned in my apprenticeship on City Council was to try and start using the word we instead of I. The lesson here is that the Council is a team endeavor, despite disagreements that occur during the normal course of events. It may seem a minor achievement. In fact, it's hard to believe that we didn't have a covered bus stop at our local hospital, but now we do. That was one of the first things I got done. Despite our very limited access to the waterfront, we now have a site which features wind sports, such as kiteboarding, windsurfing, along with what was a very popular sailing school this past summer. The Paramedic Academy has moved into its teaching facility in our city, a partnership with North Island College and with the Justice Institute of BC, initiation which I helped facilitate, which we facilitated. We've forged closer relationships with our First Nation neighbours. We've cut back on garbage, worked towards reducing worker injuries, and improved our recycling practices. We're exploring and discussing options for kitchen waste programs, as well as alternative energy sources from this. In the realm of alternative energy, we're working on a district energy concept, which could see an energy sharing plan between large facilities in our central core, generating actual revenue in the long term to help with the community's tax base. We're working towards an increased curriculum as offered locally at North Island College, so students don't necessarily have to leave town for their educational needs. We've facilitated the opening of another college mentioned previously, the Pacific Rim College, and we're working towards developing Port Alberni into a centre for education on Vancouver Island by attracting other post-secondary institutions. We've attempted to revitalize our uptown area and done poorly at it. We need to take a fresh approach to invigorate Southport. We've done very little with our waterfront opportunities. 99% of our waterfront is devoted to one industry. We need to diversify our waterfront as well as our economy, opening it up to other industries such as tourism, recreation, and residential development. This ties in with what should, in the decades to come, be a gradual shift of heavy industry out of the downtown core. We've managed to keep small business taxes relatively low. We need to continue encouraging the establishment of small businesses. We've held discussions and listened to concerns about industrial traffic in our urban core. We need to lobby more aggressively for transportation routes within, around, and to our city. We need a walk-in clinic. Our lack of family physicians and the absence of a clinic contributes to a very overcrowded and misused emergency department. We need to have a CT scanner that's up to 24 hours, 7 days a week, enabling us to deal with strokes, We need to have standard operations such as hip and knee replacements dealt with locally. No more trips back and forth to Nanaimo or Comox. I am what I describe as a very positive community leader. I know that there are those who use negative input to achieve their ends, but when I began getting involved, I made a conscious decision to be a positive participant. Everyone running as a candidate in this municipal election is here because they care about this community. We just differ in our opinions. We have an incredible community of vast potential. To utilize that potential, we need to have a vision to aim for, and we need to make plans to move forward. I have a vision, I have a plan, and I get things done. Thank you.